On Spotify, this says Big Brother official theme. I think we've been lied to. Oh, this is a good song. This is a good one. This will get us in the mood. BB26 Houseguests, if you're in here, this is the kind of energy you got to bring to the season. I could give you all the advice, but if the energy's not there, it won't matter. Hey, look, all I know is I was patrolling the BB26 hashtag when I was deep in the process, and I know a lot of people were. So I wouldn't be shocked. Aren't they in sequester already? I don't think so. I think it should be in the next couple days. It's like 2 weeks before the premiere. Any day now, yeah. Am cannibal. What a song. Oh my god. Songs like this where I'm like, damn, I wish they didn't free Kesha. Cannibal 2, please. Thank you, Miserables, Tom, Rooster, Lychee. How are you guys? Jail. Look, okay, this is my Doja Cat opinion too. Doja Cat like hates her label and wants to get out, but the music she made under her label is a lot better than the music she makes not under her label. Thank you, Sydney, for the sub. Is that a crazy opinion? I like when Doja Cat makes mainstream like pop with rapping. No Kesha slander. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not slandering Kesha. I am merely praising Sony. Does that make sense? Thank you, Lindsay. Appreciate you. Planet Her is a fire album? Absolutely. Cory's hot takes are always the worst. Are you surprised? Look at me. What did you expect the hot takes to be? Dr. Luke's working with Katy Perry. Katy Perry is interesting. Sahana Karan for BB26. I got a text from Blue recently. Could not tell you the context. I have no idea. She goes, what was the name of the person who hacked Felicia again? And I said, Sahana Karan. She said, thanks. And we both moved on with our days. So I don't know what Blue's cooking, but it's something. Happy birthday, Mimi, of course. Of course. Top 3 favorite person to talk to in the house. For me, it was probably Her America and Izzy. She was doing a post-game BB quiz. Ah. How many bosses down in the DLC? So I got Mesmer down. I got the pink creature thing. I've only got a couple left. I'm fighting the chaos one, madness person. You put anything in your hair? Nothing. All natural. I don't believe in product. Absolutely not. You're gonna play vaudeville? It's fixed. Yeah, I'm sure at some point when I run out of ideas. BB26, let's fucking go. Ned, the BB25 era is over. Except until I see something in chat that I have to contest. DJ Nay, thanks for the 7 months. Tay, if I didn't thank you already. Are y'all watching week 9 soon? Probably tomorrow or the day after. We're kind of taking it slower now because we're not going to watch those final 2 weeks. Probably. We'll probably just like skip around. But yeah, we'll watch it soon. I'm really excited for this stream. Now, let me say, this stream was not original. This is inspired by someone who I'm a very big fan of on TikTok. The Bowie Jane. And I have terrible news about Bowie Jane. She's not coming to Nashville in a couple weeks. It'll be in August now. Very sad. But Bowie did a nice little, for all the BB26 hopefuls, here's some advice. Did you cook a factor meal today? I did. Stephanie Jill. It was delicious. Pretty good. Problem is they all come with a vegetable, which is like trying way too hard. Yuck veggies. They're trash. They're not good. Any preseason predictions? I believe it'll be an all-male final 2. Which isn't really a prediction. It's just a smart bet. But maybe BB25, that's the lesson people are going to take away from it. Maybe BBC is down to 16 to 20. 20 by far. 20, 17, 18, 19, then 16. 16, then 19, probably. It's been a great day so far. I woke up, went to the gym, saw America get introduced to Desmond on Lost. A lot of great things. Now, are you guys ready for me to just get into this presentation? Because you want to play a game, it's called How Long is Cory's Presentation, and Why Is It 30 Slides? That seems like a lot, right? Tom, thank you for the gift. Hope you're doing well. Also, can I get a quick call to action? Americory on Patreon. The new TikTok account posting Patreon clips. Shout out to Lila. All of her editing wonder. But that's posted, where we're posting every day. So, just send that a follow on TikTok. Starting next stream, I'm going to be streaming to Twitch and TikTok. Obviously, I'll only be looking at Twitch chat, and it'll just be passively on TikTok. But I thought there's no reason not to. It doesn't lose me anything. After stream today, I'm going to be watching Love Island. Prayers for Rob in chat. I know we're all hoping, crossing our fingers. I think Rob and Cassidy have a real connection. Okay, let's talk about this presentation. Anyone who's on BB26, feel free to DM me. I'm not going to share your secret. You got any questions, any follow-ups about the presentation today? But let's get into it. Well, congratulations. You're a Big Brother house guest. Wow. Why is your TikTok name corywurtenberger? This is embarrassing. This is not good. So you know how you're allowed to change your username? I changed my username, right? And I just forgot the BER, and now I can't change it for another month. So this is where we are. Not great. Thank you, Wilk, for the gift. Leah. Tom, for another gift. Where do you guys go? When would sequester start for BB26? Approximately 2 weeks before the premiere. So we're getting there. A few days, probably. My season started on August 2nd, and I was picked up July 19th. And that was the first day people were being kidnapped. So exactly 2 weeks out from the premiere. All right. So, Congratulations, you're a Big Brother house guest. Now, obviously, if you're going to be on BB26, you actually don't know if you're a house guest yet. You're probably getting some phone calls, talking about filming some footage and doing whatnot. And you could still be cut. It's possible. But let's assume, for the sake of this presentation, you're cast, okay? And if you're this deep in the process, you should assume you're being cast. Things can go wrong, but let's be optimistic, okay? Now what? I think there's a lot of preparation people think about doing. There's all the logistical concerns of packing and shit. There's the strategic implications of I'm going on Big Brother. What does that mean for number one? How do I play strategically? Number two, how do I make the most of this opportunity strategically? I think a lot of people have that concern is a lot higher than anything game related. But let's talk about the chill stuff first, okay? Very, very simple stuff. Packing. Now, you've had a phone call, you've had a Zoom call talking about packing, but that's from them. This is from me, okay? I'm someone who's lived it. Someone who's sitting in the comfortable chairs of production. They get to drive home every day. They don't understand Big Brother packing in the way that I do. Okay, I am an authority on the subject. Now, you are allowed to have one 50-pound bag or something is the requirement, plus whatever you want to bring to sequester. That weight limit, you can kind of fudge that weight limit. I'm going to be honest. Cerie's bag was probably 360 pounds. Maybe that's, because she's Cirie, but generally you might have to pay extra, but they're going to pay extra for you. So you're fine. Pack as much as you want as long as it's one bag. Your poor little handler traveling with you is not going to not let you get on the plane, okay? She did have to fit Jared in her bag. That is a good point. Isn't the weight limit more about airline limits? So yes, you're going to have to pay additional money for oversized baggage, but you're not the one paying for that because you don't have any cards. You don't have your wallet. You don't have your phone. So that's my recommendation. So let's talk about packing for sequester first, because this is separate from packing for the show. During sequester, you have access to all your clothes for the show. So you still have that bag, but you also get this additional bag, which you could put puzzles, a deck of cards, I threw a racquetball in, books. I'm sure you could put some DVDs in there, probably. The point is you can have basically anything that is not itself an electronic device. So my recommendation, probably just bring a lot of books. You can bring snacks. I brought some goldfish, some saltines. That's my recommendation. The way sequester, actually, we talk about sequester a little bit later. So for sequester, bring things that are going to entertain yourself. Don't underestimate how crazy you can go in 2 weeks. So I brought the Game of Thrones series. You want to have things that are very separate from each other. So if you have Game of Thrones, maybe here have a totally different kind of book, and then here have Sudoku or crossword puzzles or something. You don't, because if you get sick of one thing, you want to be able to move to something completely different. Got it? All right. Now let's talk about the house, because that's what is much more important. Now, infamously, the Big Brother house is freezing. And it is. I think, at this point in Big Brother history, you absolutely need a robe. I think Cirie is the one who established this meta. We were all given robes, those of us who competed in Cock-a-Doodle Zoom. And I think at this point, that is an essential item for the Big Brother house. It takes up a lot of space in your bag, but God, it's worth it. If you're going in the house, the backyard's going to be closed 4 days a week, potentially stretching into 5. And those days where you're locked in, you want to be as cozy as you can, as warm as you can, and the robe is the best way of doing it. A winter jacket like Bowie is fine too, but that takes up even more space. It's not as cozy. I don't think it's worth it. The rope belt also doubles as an eye mask. That is a good call. So, bring a lot of heavier clothing. I don't mean winter jackets, but a lot of hoodies, a lot of sweatpants, a lot of leggings. God, I fucking hate Twitch, says Mr. Ball 414. I have terrible news for you. You have stumbled into the wrong place. And if you're a BB26 house guest, fix this attitude before you get in there. Because right now, if I'm HOH, I'm targeting you. You understand that? You're off to a bad start. Big mistake. Okay? So, pack heavier clothing. You're going to be cold. Now, you do have limited real estate in this bag. One thing, especially if you're a guy or you're someone who doesn't care about having like a ton of like fancy footwear for like live evictions, go easy on the packing sneakers. Pack a pair or two, because for so many competitions, you're going to be given a brand new pair of Asics. I went in the house with one pair of sneakers, a pair of slides, and then like a pair of, not fancy shoes, but like, kind of dressier shoes. 3 pairs total. And I walked out with 7 pairs of shoes. So don't go insane. Say Bowie's dad? Oh, Mr. Ball 414? You're so fucking stupid. Could you bring your own blanket? No. Because that's going to be like a design thing that they wouldn't want to, only stuff you can wear. What if you somewhat don't know your shoe size? During sequester, you're going to be measured. They're going to check all your measurements to make sure that you fit in their costumes that they're going to be designing. Now, a lot of people in the house underwent wild body transformations. Matt gained some weight, I lost a ton, and then gained a ton. Like, eventually these measurements are fucking useless. Because when you're in a house, you're not working out, you're eating a lot. And in my case, you're not eating ever, and you're sleeping never. So, like, these measurements do become more useless over time. But they do all that stuff, and that shouldn't affect shoe size. So you'll be fine there. So don't go crazy packing shoes. They'll hook you up. Don't worry. Other things about clothing. You're going to have live evictions. You're going to have ceremonies. Now, do not think that you're going to walk into every ceremony with like makeup done in your best outfit, knowing you're going to be on TV. You might start like that. That first veto meeting, we were all dressed to the nines. By week 5, we're all in tank tops, our robes, shorts, socks, and sandals. Everyone dresses up for the live evictions when we can, which is not that often. Other than that, don't worry about it. So, something to keep in mind. Don't go too crazy on the fancy outfits. Just prepare some for live eviction, have a finale outfit, you'll be fine. Dressed up for a veto meeting is crazy. People were doing it. First couple weeks, you dress up for nominations too. So, pack some fancy clothes. Don't have to pack too much. Okay, that's some of my advice. I would say go a little bit overboard on underwear and socks, because the laundry machines are inconveniently located in the backyard, which is closed 5 days a week. Because you could reuse jeans or shorts. You could rewear that a lot. The underwear and socks is a little bit more annoying, so make sure you have more of that stuff ready. Okay? Here's the final thing. Every Big Brother player, in some respect, is an archetype. Now, the clothing you pack kind of moderates how much production can make you that archetype. So if you're the nerd, and you bring suspenders and, like, glasses without lenses and a pinwheel hat, they're gonna choose that as your premiere outfit, and you're gonna be wearing it. For me, they wanted me to be the nerd, but I didn't bring any nerdy outfits because I dress very cool. I have a certain fashion sense, a swagger that is undeniable upon first look. So they had to settle with that blue shirt, black jeans, which is like a normal-ass outfit. But if I dressed way more like, nerdy and had that attire, absolutely that's what I would have been. Think about that first day. Matt is wearing no clothes. You guys know in Catching Fire, when they're doing like Finnick's costume, and it was just like a net covering his crotch? That was Matt. He had like a tank top that was like spaghetti straps just to show off his muscles. And then Red had the overalls. They typecast you on that premiere. So if you don't bring the option, sometimes they'll buy you shit because they really want you to do something. But most of the time, they'll try to pick something from what you have. Okay. Toiletries. A little bit less exciting. Here's the thing. If you notice two fellow house guests, who have the same brand of toothpaste, at this point in Big Brother history, you are required to assume that they are family members. There's a secret blood connection, and you should operate in the game assuming that to be a fact. Now, you might say, Cory, that seems like a crazy assumption, but from what I've seen about Big Brother fans, you're all supposed to make that connection, and if you don't, it shows a complete lack of awareness, and frankly, it proves you to not be a very good player. Because it's so obvious, okay? You guys understand? Good. The real deal with toiletries is don't worry about bringing like razors. You're gonna have that stuff for sequester, so bring it for then. But you only get access to like electric razors and their stuff once a week, on Thursdays before evictions. Generally, I think this is more of a stressful thing for like women going into the house, or really anyone who uses like fake eyelashes, or self tanner or stuff like that, because that stuff does not get replenished. You get what you get, and then maybe you could get some more stuff if you win HOH, but don't bank on that. So bring everything you need. You're gonna run out eventually. Look, the way I view it is if you run out, that means you made it far enough to get there. Okay? You made it far enough to run out. That's a win. Miscellaneous. There's one massive mistake I made when packing. Massive mistake. What do you think it is? Who watched the feeds? What did I forget to bring? Okay, I did not forget my fleshlight, Doc Phil. I'm going to allow that term, but I don't want you to use it again, okay? It's not what I forgot. I walked into the house knowing I'm not going to need it. No, okay. Sunglasses, correct. Sunglasses. You guys are all right. Sunglasses are vital for two reasons. Number one, the house is obnoxiously bright. The lights are blaring from the second you're woken up at like 9:15, 9:30 to the minute they turn them off at like fucking 2 a.m. some nights, or midnight, or 10 p.m. if they're being nice. So you need to have like sunglasses unironically for indoors. The second you wake up, you're basically not going to take your shades off till like noon. And number two, nap time. You said it, Ned. In the Big Brother house, you're not allowed to nap between the hours of 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. The reality is, you're also not really allowed to nap between 9 and 10. But when you're outside and you're tanning, you got the towel out and you're laying there with shades, who can really say what you're doing? Another quick tip, I don't mention it somewhere else in this presentation, but if you want a nap, because a lot of people knew me those first couple weeks as the nap king. Not to be mistaken for napkin, that's a different thing. Use that for food. I was the only person in the house who was successfully able to nap for like 3 weeks straight, 4 weeks straight, something like that. And the reason is, you have to acknowledge the rest of the house. If everyone else is chatting, there's all these different conversations, that might give you the opportunity to sneak away. And then you can sleep. The napping behind the fist was a bit. Okay, that was a joke. But go find your little corner, put on your sunglasses, you might be able to get away with it. As less people are in the house, it gets harder and harder, as you can imagine. Okay? That's my advice. Bowie threw a tantrum. Yeah, Bowie threw a tantrum because she said I would like keep her up all night because I wouldn't go to bed and the lights would stay on, and then I would nap during the day. That is what we call a skill issue. Plain and simple. You know, Bowie Jane really saw me napping and was like, see, I need to be like that. I need to be more passive in my gameplay. I feel like I'm doing too much. I gotta slow down. Your hiding spot was genius. It would have been, if not for those meddling kids, that meddling kid being America, who I tell because I think it's funny, and then she runs upstairs and tells everybody. It's fucked up. She did make Final 3, though. So did Gina Marie. She made Final 2. Bowie Jane overplayed. Don't overplay your hand. Sequester, I don't have too much to say. The schedule is you have 3 meals a day. You order those meals at night. You're really excited for those meals because you have nothing else to do all day. You're going to have access to some DVDs, a little DVD player. I was able to keep myself pretty entertained. I had a deck of cards. I was throwing them into my hat. It was a good time. But I think most people bug out a lot. It's very interesting. Those first couple days in Sequester, the feeling is like, oh my god, I need these days to go faster. I'm so antsy. Let me get in the house. And then those last couple days, you're like, oh my god, I wish I had another week before the house. I am not ready. Fuck, fuck, fuck. Can you watch TV in Sequester? No. They give you a little DVD player, and then they have like a box of DVDs you could like rent. Can you bring prescribed medicine? Yeah, you gotta get that all cleared beforehand, though. Most of your prescribed medicine you're able to like have on you. Like I had like hair loss pills because I like my hair grows in too fast. I need to take some pills to slow it down sometimes. But some pills like they administer through the DR2 upstairs. Which seasons did you watch in Sequester? Important question, Smokey Rob. You do not get access to seasons in Sequester. Or at least I didn't. Maybe some of the recruits they gave seasons. I certainly didn't. And I thought I would, because my plan was to watch Big Brother 23 and 24 in Sequester. And I did not have that opportunity. I wanted to. Yeah, Xanax and Adderall, I imagine, would be like administered via production. Do you think BB26 cast reveal will be earlier because it's not a live move-in? No, I think they're happy releasing it late. It gives the fans less time to find shit. I thought they gave you BB26. No, I heard that, like, Blue told me that, and some other people told me that that's a season they gave them. And I believe that is when you're going through the casting process, when you're deep in the stages, not in Sequester. But they never had to tell me to watch any seasons. They knew. It's not a live move-in. We're not certain. We know it's a 2-day process. It's a 2-day premiere, which kind of implies it's not a live move-in, but even that is not certain. The girls always get BB Ken 6. Yeah, I think they like the idea of like 2 women in the final 2. Paris is like as a winner. I think they like. Are they turning on live feeds day 1? I don't know. I hope so, because they're really important. Day 1 was the reason Kirsten was targeted last year. All right. Not going insane. Just understand that you're not going to get any information out of production or, like, overanalyzing the forms they give you. It doesn't help. Let me give a bit of a suggestion, though. They give you some forms where you write down your HOH albums and that kind of stuff. When they ask you about your biggest fears and your biggest whatevers, don't put down your biggest fears. Because then if they have a veto competition of facing your biggest fears, you're going to actually have to face your biggest fears. You know what I said my least favorite food in the world was? I said raw tuna. Because it's believable. A lot of people hate raw tuna. I like raw tuna. Didn't amount to anything, and it won't amount to anything ever, but, yeah, you know. Why put yourself in that position, right? Okay. Preparation. 4 categories here. Number 1 is strategy. So what I boil down to strategy is, if you're a recruit, if you're a super fan, you have to have a baseline understanding of how Big Brother works. Okay, a baseline understanding, which means when is a double eviction likely to pop up? You got to know the terminology, know about backdoors, know about pawns, know about, like, you have to have the baseline down. Do you have to watch all the seasons? Absolutely not. I think if you watch Big Brother 23, 24, and 25, you're as well set up as you need to be. Straight up. Even if you just watch 24 and 25. Like, I think 23 is useful because the Cookouts alliance strategy is interesting, but, like, you don't gotta watch all the seasons. You're fine. And I go much deeper into the strategy part of things, but I think your preparation should be watching enough seasons, watching some deep dives. Taryn does these 6-hour interview with Taylor, a 6-hour interview with me, a whatever hour long with Tiffany. Like, that's where you're going to get a good sense of, like, how the game actually went, because it's really hard to catch up on the live feeds. You're not going to do that. So, do the next best thing. Watching those early seasons is not going to give you any knowledge. It won't. Physicality. It's too late to do it, to change anything about this. This is what it is. Okay? My suggestion would be, in Sequester, you have nothing to do but work out. Make sure you're working out relevant muscles. If you find a way to work out grip strength, do it. Don't worry about, like, getting in perfect shape for the show, because reality is like you're not going to maintain that perfect shape in the house. It's really hard. But we'll talk about like, actually how to play in regards to physicality. Mentality. So let's talk about being an influencer for a second. A lot of people go into the show and they want to be an influencer. Now, what I've found, and I don't have the biggest sample size, going in trying to be an influencer does not equate to being an influencer. It actually doesn't play very well. You'll have your fans. Everyone has their fans on Big Brother. But if you're a good character on the show, you try hard, you play to win, you don't do any stupid shit, that'll get you on that influencer track much more than any conscious efforts you make. So just be careful about that, because if your goal is to be an influencer, you can accomplish that goal. But if that's the first thing on the top of your mind at every moment, it's not going to happen. Okay. The last thing is, I think it's impossible to separate your placement from your satisfaction of the experience. Blue's doing pretty well for herself. Do not take this as a subtweet of Blue. Blue's great. Blue's doing well. Like, it's just, like, very broadly, it's a very bad idea. And also, can I say something? When it comes to Blue on the TV show, I feel like you guys are much harsher than I am. I think Blue on the show is one of the better characters, by far. On live eviction, sometimes she does a lot, like in the voting confessionals. But I think like her actual like confessionals throughout the season are so much better than basically everyone on the show except Suri Felicia. Like, she gives a lot. And I think now, at this part of the season where I'm at, it's going to start turning, like, that energy is going to be against me in America. But, like, I don't think her... I think she's a good presence on the show. That's just me. The feeds are, like, I didn't see the feeds. And I'm sure seeing those things in contrast is different. But, like, as far as a show character, I don't think she was, like, super annoying or anything. We'll talk more about mentality later. And then lies. The lies is a very key feature of Big Brother. Everyone comes into Big Brother with something they're lying about. America lied about being an Ivy League graduate. I lied about my brother being on Survivor. Mimi lied about being a teacher when she was a political consultant. Heisem said he was a nurse when he was a doctor. Jared said, I don't have a mom in the house, and he did. Blue said she was a TikToker and not a brand strategist. Bowie said she was a 35-year-old DJ when she was a 45-year-old DJ / barrister. Cam said he was single. Like, there's so many different lies people come into the house with. Right? Now, I want you to be very careful about what you lie about. Because in almost all cases, it's not fucking necessary. Let's go through the BB25 lies. Me lying about my brother, not necessary. But there is a certain power in having these secrets in the house. If you have a secret that is not that important, you can still use that secret as currency with somebody else. I used it to build a bond with America. I used it kind of unintentionally to test Jared, Suri, and Izzy, which worked out in my favor. Again, it was not really planned like that, but you could use your secret information to endear yourself to other house guests. It's like a bargaining chip you can give them. So that's something you can do if you just want to keep a secret, because keeping a secret's fun. But like Mimi saying she was a teacher instead of a political consultant, we all bought it. There was no suspicions about it. But also, I don't think it was necessary. I think it would have served her better to be able to talk about her actual life. Like, I feel like me and Mimi would have bonded even better if she was a political strategist. You know what I mean? And I don't think anyone would have said, oh my god, we have to target her. Same for Blue. Blue's lie was extremely convincing. But her being a marketing strategist, a brand strategist, did not matter to anybody. At all. No one cared. Like, it's fine. It's cool. But it was not like any reason to target Blue. You know what I mean? America being Ivy League, for her, I think it's just such an easy lie to say she goes to UTRGV. Not really necessary. And I think it makes it harder to talk about like your college experience because you have to always, if you're keeping a lie, make sure it's for a reason. Here's what I think you should lie about. If you're an undercover cop, you should lie about it. Because everybody's going to come in having watched BB16 and you're going to be a target. Like, lie about that. If you're a lawyer, you could lie about it. You don't have to. Here's what I will say. Never lie by saying you're like... Okay, if you're a lawyer, don't say you're a paralegal. If you're a doctor, don't say you're a nurse. Like, it's a little transparent. Because certain types of people get cast on these shows more reliably than others. You know what I mean? Like, Xavier saying he was a bartender is believable. Right? It's harder to get to the idea that he's a lawyer. If he said he was a paralegal, it'd be like, okay, come on. People would target a doctor simply because they make money. It depends on your cast. I don't think that's that much of a thing. Like, we all knew in the house that, like, Bowie and Felicia were well off. I'm not sure about Matt, but I figured his family was well off. No one, that was not, Suri, I mean, of course. No one cared. I don't recommend anyone go in with the Liz Wilcox strategy of lying about being a millionaire, but it's not that big of a deal. Also, let's talk about this. Do not lie about being or having a career, having a job, when you know nothing about that career or job. Everyone in the chat's mentioning Xavier not knowing how to make drinks. How about fucking Josh from Big Brother Canada 10? He's a doctor. He lies and says he's a marine biologist and knows nothing about marine biology. Make sure you know what your lie is. Derek Levasseur did a great job. He's a police officer, and he said he was like a community planner or something. Community developer. And he knew a lot about that because of his previous experience. Maybe 8 with her live shouting out students that didn't exist. It was pretty fucking hilarious. Mimi's political work being with education definitely helped her lie. 100%. I think with Mimi, though, a lot of people had trouble, like, connecting with her on a personal level. Like, we all liked Mimi. I like Mimi to this day. But, like, it's harder to bond with someone when, like, you can't talk about your life, really. So, you know. Okay, that's my long rant on lies. Let's keep going. Alright, I want to stop down on night 1, because if you're a future Big Brother house guest, I'm sure you're more worried about night 1 than you are about anything else. This shit's terrifying. And you can take this advice from me, someone who probably, outside of the people who were evicted night 1, probably had the worst night 1 in Big Brother history. Is that fair? I'm on a short list. I think Jag was a substitute teacher at times. I did share which albums, yeah. We'll talk about it after. Canadian government, thanks for the sub. I appreciate you. So I had a really bad night 1. Now, obviously, night 1 comes with a lot of twists. There's a lot of circumstantial shit that might not go your way, but here's my advice broadly. Number 1, get your ass in a side bedroom. The best bedroom you could be in is the scary room. It's going to be something else this year, but it's immediately that side bedroom to the right. That's the move. If you want to go to the other side bedroom, the comic room, that's okay too. But make sure you're in a side bedroom. Side bedroom is where you want to be. That's where alliances form. That's where you have a little bit of privacy to talk. Let's think about Big Brother 25. The 2 alliances that the show spelled out, because it kind of was the truth, was the bye-bye bitches, / the professors, that whole side of the house, and then the handful. The handful was Riley, Jag, Cam, Matt, Blue. 4 of them were in the scary room, and 1 of them was HOH. And when she was done being HOH, Riley moved into the scary room. And you know who aligned on the other side? Suri, fucking Red, Izzy, Bowie. Like, you think Red is in the professors if not for being in the comic room? No shot. Get in one of those side bedrooms. They're going to ask for volunteers to be have-nots. I was in a position where I had to volunteer. Don't volunteer. Just don't do it. Someone else will. Someone who's not watching this stream won't know they shouldn't do it. Because I ended up in the have-not room with fucking Jared, Heisem, and Luke. Which, not my favorite moments. Shockingly. Fans of the season might know why. It's not a good time. To have-nots ever form alliances, it's harder because you're not, like, you're all going to be split up the next week. It's not like you're living in the same room for, like, weeks. What about if you end up being a have-not? You deal with it. Like, you know, it's not a end of the world. I was in the Scrambleverse for most of the season. Basically all of the season. And I don't think it hurt my game that much. But it definitely got me off to a slower start than all these other people who had majority alliances day 2. So get in the side better. Number 2, kiss the HOH's ass, assuming you're not HOH. We'll talk about if you should win HOH. Kiss the HOH's ass. Now, a lot of people might give you the side eye. That person's kissing the HOH's ass. Who fucking cares? That HOH is not going to put you on the block. Your goal for week 1, initially, survive week 1. Kiss the HOH's ass. Be annoying. Don't be too annoying, but yeah. Go hang out in the groups with them. That's the advice. That first HOH is really important. They're going to build out a power structure. You need to be in it. Number 2 is go with the flow. Unless you're the first HOH, I think it is extremely dangerous to build out a power structure. Jag was someone who did that. And Jag was in a pretty good position to build out a power structure. His closest ally was HOH. He was obviously safe for the week. Nominees were already set. But it puts you in a very dangerous position, because if you build out a power structure that gets revealed, you're going to be the one who's blamed. So, I think you go with the flow. You're brought into an alliance, that's great. Hopefully you're brought into a core. You just have to be flexible. Jag was really not flexible. He went in with the idea of, I want a 3-person alliance, then a 5-person outer alliance, then an 8-person, and we're all going to have these layers. It's a great idea. It might form naturally. You can't force it. The first couple days, you have no idea if it's going to be like a everyone's all over the fucking place season, if it's going to be a split house. You just got to adapt to whatever's happening. Have a parachute in case the alliance gets found out. It's a lot easier said than done. But we'll talk about that. Okay. Now, probably one of the biggest questions you have, you're definitely going to be asked this in your pregame press. A lot of people wonder, should you win the first HOH? I want to run a poll. I'm curious what you guys think. First HOH. Should you win or throw? Because I will say, a vast majority of people on Big Brother 25 threw the first HOH competition. Vast majority. I think all but 3 or 4 people, probably. Okay. 73% say win. Now, this might be a little bit controversial to you guys. Whether or not you win the first HOH depends on how realistic you are about your abilities. If you think you can be a good player, if you think, like, a lot of people go in thinking they have all these skills, you're a fan, you know the game, maybe try to win the HOH. Win that first HOH, you get to build out your power structure, set the tone in the house. It can be extremely powerful. A lot of winners have been the first HOH. I mean, Tyler on season 20 didn't win. He was the first HOH, and he did a lot with that first HOH. Cody Calafiore was the first HOH. We saw how that went. Even Jesse Goddard, season 11, didn't go very far, but he was running the house till the coup d'etat. He was the first HOH. Hayden Moss, first HOH. There's also the other side of it. There's Riley. There's Frenchie. If you feel confident in your abilities, win that first HOH, take matters into your own hands, build out your structure. If you think you might have to learn some things as you go, you're not that familiar with the show, don't win that first HOH. You have to be realistic with yourself. Don't try to be the best player in Big Brother history. Try to maximize your potential. And I don't mean that in a harsh way. If Jordan Lloyd tried to play Dan Giesling's game, Jordan would not get far. In the same way Dan wouldn't get far if he tried to play Jordan's game. There's a lot of people on our season who should not, like Riley had no reason to win that competition. It's a little bit of hindsight bias, but that is the truth. X versus normal HOH of 23. Yeah, it's true. So, if you feel confident, win that shit. If not, ideally, throw it to an ally, someone you feel good about. Probably don't have allies at that point, but someone you feel like you could have a connection with. Or just, take your chances as a normal person. All right. This was an issue that I thought about a lot before going on Big Brother, and it's an issue I immediately had to face. What if you're asked to be a pawn? A lot of people this season were asked to be a pawn. Cameron was asked several times. Every time he was asked, he became a pawn. Blue was asked. Every time, she became a pawn. Jag was asked. Every time, he became a pawn. I was asked to be a pawn once, and I wriggled out of that situation. How do you do it? Number one, fuck no. You push back, and you push back hard. The minute you give a little bit, you're fucked. You say fuck no, and you offer an alternative. Speak from their perspective. For me, I actually had a lot of logic as to why I shouldn't be a pawn. I was like, if I'm up next to Kirsten, I'm just going to be voted out. No one's voting out Felicia. No one's voting out Jared. Bowie Jane, who I know a lot of people are very critical about, had a very interesting strategy when it came to being a pawn. She, from day one, despite never, being at risk of being a pawn for that first week or two, told everyone in the house a million times, I am not comfortable being a pawn. And it was effective. Jared, for seemingly no reason, decided I can never put Bowie Jane up as a pawn. It is just not an option. To be very clear, I think a lot of people say, well, isn't it okay to agree to be a pawn? Because if the HOH is going to do it anyways, you don't want to have an adversarial relationship. You have a lot of leeway in that conversation because what you're doing is very understandable. I remember in my conversation with Riley, when I'm making my case, I was like, look, and Riley, I know this is, annoying to hear because you want me to agree to it, but, as such a fan of the show, I have to argue not to be a pawn. Does that make sense? I can't do that. I need to argue this. Right? It's fair for me to argue it. And it is fair. So push back hard, offer alternatives, build out the connection you have with that person. And most importantly, and I didn't even write this down, go all in. On day 3, Riley asked me to be a pawn, and I made a final 2 with her. I told her we're going to the end with Suri and Felicia. I told her the secret about my brother, which I didn't even tell America for 4 weeks. She was the only one who knew for the first half of the game, basically. First quarter of the game. Yeah, we were the Nash villains. Go all in. And it's not like you have to betray them. You could work with them for as long as you want. You know what I mean? That's fine. But there's no reason to hold anything back week 1. Keep yourself safe. Try to figure it out from there. Because once you're put on the block once, you become a very easy person to put on the block again. Cameron was nominated week 2, and 3, and 5, and 7, and you know what I mean? Meanwhile, Matt and Bowie are never nominated. I was not nominated for a long time. Same with Jared. Same with Mimi. Same with everyone. And then the last thing I wrote was lightly threaten. What this means is, and you want to make it clear, if the HOH puts you up and you win HOH, you're going to put them up. Now, you don't want to say that because that's adversarial, and that'll be like, oh, fuck this person. I'm going to target them instead of just having them as a pawn. But you can say, look, and as, obviously us two are working together, and I would never let you touch the block. And obviously, if I won HOH, it would almost, there'd be no one else to even put up because you nominated me. So, I feel like everyone else in the house would expect me to put you up. And I wouldn't want to do that, of course. But you have to make sure that people, Most HOHs week 1 are not thinking about their like final 5. They're like, okay, how do I make sure I'm not evicted next week? Make sure you're not. Make sure they know that if you put them up as a pawn, that hurts your relationship. Okay? All right. Now, what if you're the target week 1? I was in this position for 12 hours, 8 hours, maybe less, maybe 5 hours until Kirsten started screwing up. And this is where I have to be a little bit honest. It's not an easy problem to fix. It's kind of like Survivor. Everyone is so scared of being the first one out that once the house settles on a name, it's really hard to flip that vote. Even our season, where there was more flips than any other season in Big Brother history, probably. That week 1 vote was always solid. It was always Kirsten. And maybe that's because Felicia was on the block. If it was me or Luke or someone next to her, it could have been a closer vote. Week 1 target is a really, really brutal position. Here's what you can do. Number 1, if it's a split house, you got to pick one side of the house and go all in. But the first thing you have to do is figure out the landscape of the house. Kirsten had a problem where she kept campaigning to people, and she kept throwing out names, but she didn't know who was working with who, and it's really hard in that position to gain information. But she'd be talking to, like, I don't know, like Heisem, and say, oh, we got to get rid of Blue or something. And Heisem, who thinks he's working with Blue, and all of a sudden, now Heisem doesn't want to work with Kirsten. This isn't as erotic as I'd hoped. We'll get there. Don't worry. So, it's weird. Like, you don't want to throw out names, because then you could, like, hit a landmine and then be fucked. But you can't be broad, because that's not going to get you anywhere. People are going to give you the bullshit advice of, like, yeah, you just gotta, have conversations. Be involved. Don't give up. The second you're getting that, you have to understand it's not happening. You have to get a landscape of the house to figure out what path you can take and what votes you need. The reality is you got to push hard for the veto. Now, obviously, try to win the veto. That's a big part. But more importantly, really push for that veto to be used on you. Really hard. Really hard. Saving yourself from the block is a lot easier than saving yourself from a vote. Sometimes it's impossible. Sometimes it's doable. Yeah, I mean, Michael's a good example of, like, he won the veto and then got to the final 5. But not everyone is Michael in terms of comp ability. Do you wish you went harder in comps than you did? No. I mean, I should have, because it would have been better for my game, but it all worked out. Like, I threw everything up until a point, and then by the time I needed to win comps, I was trying in all of them. I should have tried, like, week 4, 5, and 6, but it didn't. Like, I ended up making it through with all my people, for the most part. Final 6, yes. Sorry. Okay, alliances. All right, one of the easiest things to do in Big Brother is establishing your natural final 2s. That is the Chillers, Cam and Red. Suri and Felicia had a clear bond. They made a final 2 very early. A lot of times it comes down to who you feel closest to. Sometimes that's like a demographic thing. If there was another Jewish kid from South Florida, I might want to work with them. Sometimes it is a location thing. Sometimes it's just a vibe. Jag and Riley vibed immediately, and they had a final 2. You're going to have people in the house who you really feel close to immediately. Make those final 2s, lock them in, and then keep... There was another South Florida kid. Not Jewish. He wasn't Jewish. Final 2s are easy to make. People are going to agree to them. The one thing is, doing the whole, like, hey, I'll watch your back if you watch my back kind of thing, those are kind of useless. You should still do them, but the way those become not useless is by following up. Like, I did that with Mimi, and it ended up being useless because Mimi was just not interested for some reason. But, like, my relationship with Mimi was still stronger than America's relationship with Mimi, because America didn't follow up on that conversation that she had with her. If you don't vibe with someone, should you focus on others or make an effort for that person? It's circumstantial. I did not vibe with Heisem. Now, I had to fucking solve that problem because Heisem is a beast. Heisem is going to win competitions and gonna put me in danger. If I didn't vibe with Felicia, you'd want to fix it, but you have a little bit more wiggle room. So you really need to prioritize. But yeah, it's extremely important when you're building these alliances early to follow through. If you make a new 5-person alliance, or you're brought into something, you've got to follow up a lot. And if no one else is following up, it's probably fake. Alright. Be adaptable. This is basically the anti-Jag rule. I think we all come in with the idea of what alliance you want to be in and what structure, or maybe you even have a name ready. Be adaptable. You don't know what the house is going to bring. You don't know what the energy is going to be, the social dynamics, whether it's going to be a split house or a little bit more fluid. You just got to roll with the punches. Don't be too stiff. Now, this is the corywurtenberger postulate. Don't be afraid to play the middle. Now, I think a lot of people say, Cory, you didn't play the middle very effectively. Everyone knew you were playing the middle. Get some mood lighting. Everyone knew you were playing the middle. But that protected me for a while still. Because when you're in the middle, even if people know you're playing the middle, they know someone on the other side is more threatening than you. You understand? So, let's talk about my season. We have the professors. Heisem wins HOH. Now, Heisem doesn't like me. He knows I'm playing the middle. I'm shifty. But he's not certain what I would do if I won HOH. Maybe I would side with the professors. Maybe I would target someone else. Maybe I would side with the handful. I'd target Heisem. It's possible. He knows Riley and Cameron are going to target him. And Matt. You know what I mean? Hey, Cody, will this advice work for All-Stars 3? We'll have a whole different presentation for returning player season. If you're in the middle, there's a question mark attached to you. Now, that question mark is sometimes dangerous, but it's less dangerous than the surefire people who are targeting you on the other side. So don't be afraid to play the middle. It's not that hard to do. A great thing to do is finding the other people who are playing in the middle, making your relationship with them. That's what I thought me and Jared were doing. Little did I fucking know. That's what America, Mimi, and myself could have done. But that's a very valuable thing, and I think that is a winning strategy, if you're able to pull it off. So don't be afraid to play the middle. And this is something I dealt with all fucking season. Keep your options alive. Now, when I say options, I mean players. In Big Brother, you have a very finite amount of options. There's very few people who could win over everyone in the house. Surrey's probably one of those people. And even she couldn't win over... She could win over just about everyone. But she had trouble in different moments. The people I could win over, in moments, I could win over Jag. Red and Cam, at different points in the game, were real options for me. America, of course, was an option. Mimi, never really a real option, but she was more of a possibility than a lot of other people. You can't always steer the direction of the game, get your target out every week. But if you can protect your options longer, you give yourself more agency moving forward. If Jag is not there by the time of the Izzy flip doesn't happen. Because we don't have Jag to flip Matt. It would have been a lot harder to even get Bowie. Like, it's extremely important that you keep your pieces alive. So, when it's Jag versus Red, I'm advocating hard for Jag to stay. You don't want to be as transparent as I was about it. But that is important. Very, very important. Chris Paul to the Spurs, that is so fucking cool. Chris Paul and Wemby is going to be awesome. Keep your options alive. Even if they're not your allies immediately, you know the people you'll be able to work with moving forward. Me and Jag were kind of enemies for the first half of the game. But I knew at the end of the day I could work with Jag versus a lot of these other people. This is why you finishing off Heisem was such a big deal. Absolutely. Because look, obviously me and Cameron's relationship deteriorates. But Cameron was really useful for me for a long time. It was how we basically struck against the power structure. He did it in a stupid-ass way, but it still needed to happen. Alright. Keep your options alive. Very, very, very important. And look, You should try, but when you can't, you gotta give up. I went a little bit too hard sometimes. Shut up, Cece. You guys are all gross. All of you. Alright. Alright. Get to the majority alliance. Obviously, this is ideal. Hang out with the people who you think are going to be in the majority. That should be enough to get you pulled in. Work on just being likable and being social. Talk game lightly. That should get you pulled in. Even me, who was kind of on the outskirts, I was pulled into the, quote, majority. Alright. If you're not in the majority, I think this is more interesting. Doing their bidding will not help you. It simply won't. A lot of people think, oh, I have to earn the majority alliance's trust. No, you are simply doing their bidding. And that is not effective. At all. Obviously, you shouldn't, week 2, go balls to the wall, target the leader of the majority alliance and hope it all works out. You should try to have a little bit more tact, but there's nothing beneficial in going with the House when you're clearly not in the majority of the House. I think a good example of this is when family style really starts falling apart. The handful's falling apart. Riley's on the block against Cameron. Matt, Blue, they're both playing in the veto. If they win that veto, they should absolutely use it to save Riley. I know the HOH doesn't want that. The power structure, the professors, they don't want that. But by not saving Riley, you're not saving yourself. It's not going to happen. Protect your allies. Protect the people who are valuable to you. Worst comes to worst, they still have to be evicted before you. You guys might not make it to the final 2, but it gives you another week of buffer, maybe. Now, this next one is a direct shot at one Cameron Harden. Because Cameron had a quote when he was HOH, week 6. He said, he said, Cerie's the president. Felicia's the vice president. Izzy's the secretary of defense. Now, you don't want to target the president. You want to take out all of her minions. Target the fucking president. There's no reason to pick off like a tangential piece of the power structure. It doesn't do anything for you. Getting rid of Felicia is not helpful. Getting rid of Izzy, it's good. It's not as good as it could be. It's like, ooh, Jessica Milagros wins HOH, Big Brother 21. I'm going to put up Jack and Annalise. That'll get him. Jackson, Nicole Anthony. Like, no. Target the person you got to target. The head of the snake. The other thing you want to do when you're putting up 2 people in a majority alliance is make sure that they know who the target is. He put up Izzy and Felicia. Izzy's his target. He told both of them they were pawns. That's stupid. You tell Izzy, you're my target. Or even better, Felicia, you're my target. Izzy, you're a pawn. That gives Felicia a lot of incentive to run around the house spilling shit. Or vice versa. If you tell them they're both pawns, it's not going to do anything. You got to cause chaos in the house. You're only going to do that if someone feels like they're in danger. Alright. This says, careful about the alliance makeup. Now, this is kind of a shot at good old Cory Wurtenberger. Slightly. If you're building out an alliance, you have to make sure that this alliance benefits you in the long run. Now, I was in a tough spot. I was in an alliance with Cerie, Izzy, Jared, by proxy Felicia, maybe Mimi was that, And this endgame was not good for me. They were all closer to each other than they were to me. That's a problem. So then I built out this new power structure. We got Matt, we got Jag, we got Bowie. Good allies. Some more than others. But I can't beat them in competitions. So it's a whole different problem. But both alliances are flawed. Now, you're never going to be able to get the perfect alliance. It's all adapting. It's circumstantial. But you need to have allies who, number one, care about you more than they do about the other allies in the alliance. And number 2, people you could potentially beat in both the jury and in competitions, more importantly. So it's tough. It's a very tight balance, but if you're going to align with all the comp beasts, you better have a surefire way of getting to those final 2 chairs. And if you're going to align with people who can't win competitions, you better make sure you get on your ass and win some comps. And now finally, and this is one of the most underrated things you could do in Big Brother and Survivor. Any show, frankly. You need to find the Bowie Janes. And what I mean by that are the people who are not necessarily super self-interested. Wu from Survivor Cagayan. Or maybe they could be delusional. Maybe get Derek F. or Azza or someone. Azza's not delusional, but was not the most self-interested in moments. Anyone on season 19. You want to find the super fucking loyal people who are loyal to a fault, and you gotta give them everything. Go all in. They're so important. So important. Victoria from season 16, perfect example. Natalie Tenorelli from Redemption Island. Enzo, I think, is a little bit more active. Find those people, and they're pretty obvious who they are. We all knew that was Bowie Jane. We didn't know that was Jag, honestly. We didn't know that for a while. But we all knew Bowie was like that. So it's extremely, extremely important. Find the Bowies. Lock them in. Alright, let's talk about competitions. One of the most important parts of your entire experience in Big Brother. I think today, potentially the most important part. Number 1. If you are ever on the fence about throwing a competition, don't do it. Don't. If you're on the fence, win the competition, deal with it. Figure it out from there. At the end of the day, if you win a competition in Big Brother ever, assuming it's not a weird twist competition, you're safe for the week. So even if it was a mistake, you'll have time to fix it. Okay? There is a time and place for throwing comps. But if you're... No, I disagree with you, Ben. There are times to throw comps. Suri, for example. There's no reason for her to win a lot of comps at the start. Same with Jared, even though he did win. But if you're on the fence, don't throw it. Try to figure it out. Number 2. Do not overestimate your abilities. Izzy, I think, did this a little bit. And Izzy, I think, actually is a very good competitor. But the problem is, Big Brother comps are not equitable at all. Do not think, I've got that dog in me, I'm going to pop off later in the season. Jag didn't win, y'all gave it to him? No, I did not, and we'll talk about it in a second. Do not overestimate your abilities. How hard are competitions, deadass? They're brutal. I mean, they're really hard. And the thing is, the margins are usually quite small, and they're not very difficult in terms of like the content of what you're doing, so it usually just comes down to speed and athletic ability. A lot of the timed comps. Right now, I made a lot of mistakes on Big Brother. I'm correcting them now. I'm telling people my advice from my experience. Don't ever overestimate your abilities. It's not worth it. If you're not winning comps at the start and you're trying, you're probably not going to win them later. Don't think your solution at the end of the game is just winning comps unless you have a reason to believe that's a likely possibility. Now, number 3, it is never too early to snip a comp beast. I think a lot of people would say, Cory, you let Jag get to the end of the game. Well, first of all, we evicted him week 4 unanimously. That's part 1. Number 2, we had no opportunity to get rid of him the rest of the fucking season. We had week 5, for sure. That was the one time. But obviously for me, that would be a very bad move, of course. But post Izzy flip, there was nothing. there was no chance. All this to say, if you think it's time to get rid of a comp beast, and you might say, oh, it's a little bit too early. It's probably not too early. Because from the final 9 on, the only people to win HOH were Bowie, Matt, and Jag. The game ended at final 9. Heisem, was evicted third. He would have beaten Jag, I believe, in every single competition that Jag won. If we let Heisman survive, I don't know if we ever get Heisman out of the house. You can always backdoor him, but as those numbers get smaller, it gets pretty hard to backdoor someone. Like, you're at the final 9, backdooring someone, let's just do the math. You're going to have an HOH and 2 players. So there's a 50% chance, slightly less than 50 because of Houseguests' choice, they're going to play anyways. So if you got to get rid of a comp beast, it's never too early. Never. And finally, not all allies are made equal. And this pisses me off, because this fundamentally kind of ruins Big Brother a little bit. But there's going to be comp beasts in your season. There's going to be strong dudes. Sometimes there's strong women who win a ton of competitions. It's less common nowadays, but it still happens sometimes. Angela and Casey were very good. Your alliance with Felicia is not as important as your alliance with Jag. It's just not. And it should be, but that's the problem with this format. You have to make sure that, 2 things. You got to get rid of the comp beasts. You also need the comp beasts to think you're their number 1 ally. I know it sounds contradictory, but that's what you got to do. In my season, if you were aligned with Cameron and Jared, you were safe pre-jury. You made it to jury, basically. You'd have to survive, 1 Felicia HOH, a Cory HOH. That's it. People forget Janelle being a comp beast. Yeah, and a lot of Janelle's comp wins, though, were very random. They weren't super physical. And a lot of the physical ones she did very well in, too. She won OTEV. She did well in some endurance stuff. But she also won a lot of quizzes. Janelle's super well-rounded, but comps were a lot more equitable at that moment. Thank you, JPR, for the gift. Appreciate you. So not all allies are made equal. OTEV isn't that physical. It is. The questions are super fucking easy. It's I would say like 80% physical, 90% physical. Especially when like the ramps are steeper. Our ramp was very not steep. There's some non-physical winners. Yeah, no, it could happen. I mean, Nicole Anthony won BB Comics. Like, there's ways. Like, it's not a sure thing, but the data is very consistent in who wins these things. Survivor is better in terms of competitions, yeah. Here's hoping we get reindeer game style comps. Yeah, that would be good. Bit of luck too, of course. I just meant Janelle only had to win to stay in the game. I just meant Janelle also had to win to stay in the game. Yeah, no, I mean, Janelle's a legend, of course. We agree. Do you think they're interested in making comps more equitable at all? I think they're probably quite stubborn in that they were equitable this last year, based on what I know. But I do think when casting people like Suri and Felicia, I don't think they want to have another situation where like comps are not competitive. Because I think that's just bad TV, and it's a bummer for them to watch, especially because I bet they were probably rooting for like Suri and Felicia, So I think that might be a bit of a kick in the ass of like, okay, we should fix this. Reindeer games is better, yeah. All right, now let's talk about some other stuff with comps. Just throw this over here for now. Ah! Sorry, I'm little. Guys, help. Alright, we're just gonna move it here. Study, but don't go crazy. We studied a lot. Here's the things you should study. Study the days. Days are really important, but also keep in mind, you're not gonna have a days comp until the final 5. Final 6 at the earliest, maybe. Okay, you're not gonna have a days comp. Okay? Until very late. But you should be prepared and study. You should study for OTEV, which means knowing who won HOHs, the eviction vote totals, and who nominated who, and who played in each veto, and the names of the vetoes, the names of the comps. That's all good to study. What you shouldn't study is don't count shit in the house. Like, look, I counted everything. I had it all memorized. It might pop up as a comp. It hasn't for a long time. I don't think it's worth it. So don't count everything that it's probably not going to happen. You're kind of wasting your time. But you should study days and study different events in the house because it could pop up. For endurance comps, have different phases. I kind of knew this going in, but it's hard to, like I just wasn't physically there. Basically, you have to have different kind of poses, different ways of standing or hanging or whatever that use different muscles. Charlie from Survivors talked about this. Hunters talked about this. So if you have like a certain grip that fucks up your shoulders, one that grips up your triceps, that's how the best endurance competitors do it. They just like have like cycles they rotate through, so they give each muscle group time to rest. I didn't know how to do that. I'm not a gym guy. So I was just trying, and I failed. But Jag kept switching up his position consistently, and it helped him a lot. This is huge. Never tell an ally you're throwing competitions. Never. I don't care if they're your final two. It is not worth it. The second you tell someone you're throwing comps, number one, that information can get out there. Number two, you become a much shittier ally. It's not worth it having an alliance with someone who's not going to win competitions and protect you. Win an HOH, keep you safe. Win a veto, pull you off the block. I think you have thrown comps at some point. Okay, I see a lot of people in the chat saying don't throw comps ever. There are absolutely times where you should throw competitions. Week 2, it was between Jared and Heisem to win HOH. If Jared won that HOH, he would have been fucked. And he tried to win it, and he got super lucky that he didn't. I think a lot of people throw more competitions than they should. I'm very guilty of that. But there is absolutely a place to throw competitions. 1,000,000%. But never tell your allies. Because as an ally, it's shitty to hear. I only told one person all season, ever, that I was throwing a competition. One time, and it was Matt. And it was because Matt told me he was throwing the pressure cooker. And I said, oh, okay, I'm thinking of doing the same thing. And that was a mistake, but I did that. I never told America I was throwing anything. Ever. That was a mistake. That one didn't come back to bite me, but it was a mistake. If you're play the middle type of person, do not win comps. Yes, but eventually you're gonna have to win comps. I was the play the middle person, and I was like, oh, I gotta throw it so I don't have to pick a side. But eventually you gotta win a competition to start solidifying some alliances. What if you're a competitor and you don't want to throw any comp, Ben? I think you have to view the entire show as the competition. Everything else is just little checkpoints. Little moments within the bigger competition. You're trying to win the entire thing. You're not trying to walk away being evicted week 5 with 2 veto wins and an HOH. Try to win the game. That's your job. And look, if you're a super buff guy, you can't throw... you're not going to lower your profile, your target profile, by being bad in competitions. Dr. Will was able to do it somehow. You won't be able to. But look, winning competitions is not a horrible thing. You just got to make sure that there's pivotal moments where you don't want to win, and make sure you don't win those spots. Now, this is one that I've seen for so many fucking years in Big Brother that no one listens to. Do not talk about veto hypotheticals until you win the fucking veto. Holy shit. So many times on my season, there'd be a veto draw. Okay, Blue's playing in the veto. And, she has to decide whether or not she's saving Riley. So she goes and talks to Riley and says, Riley, I'm not going to be able to save you with the veto. Before the veto competition, promise everything you want. Heisem says, Cory, you cannot use the veto if you win. I say, Heisem, absolutely. Now, what if I really wanted to use the veto? Well, I could win and then use the veto and say, Heisem, there was so much pressure, I'm sorry, I just had to, whatever. Or, if you're like, okay, if I win the veto, everyone's going to expect me to use it, then you just throw the fucking competition. You just throw it. Especially, okay, veto comps are really good to throw sometimes. When you're not nominated, when you're not the HOH, and you're just a random person winning, here's a good week. Week 3, I played in Cockadoodle Zoom. On the block was Cameron and Jag. The HOH was Felicia, and Heisen was the backdoor target. I get drawn for the veto. I talk to Cameron. Cameron says, if you win, would you take me off? I say, Cameron, absolutely. We've been working together since like day 2. You know I've got your back. Jag asked me, Cory, would you use it on me? I go, yes. For sure, man. I feel like we've gotten a lot closer. Just as long as you protect me in the future, I've got you, man. And then I threw the competition. Now, I didn't need to throw the competition. I would have lost anyways. Fact is, I tried. like once I realized I couldn't win, I was just trying to do my best. But there's no reason to like lower your social capital because you want to you're lower your social capital on the potential possibility of you winning the veto when you're probably not going to win the fucking veto even if you try, and you can throw it to not even have that problem. How difficult was it to throw comps and pretend like you're not? Once there becomes an energy in the house or a rhetoric in the house that, ooh, this guy's throwing competitions, it becomes almost impossible. Because at that point, even when you're trying to win, people are going to think you're throwing. Like, people thought I threw the double eviction veto. I absolutely did not. People thought I threw the wall. Bowie thought I threw the wall. I did not. But once that word gets out there, it's almost impossible. So if you're able to keep up appearances, it's very easy to throw comps, honestly. But once there becomes a little bit of chatter, it's almost impossible. You just had the right strat? That's what I'm saying, TS. Alright. Please don't do this. Wait until the veto competition's over. Then you do all your damage control, have your conversations, do whatever you want. If someone who's like on the block is like, oh, you're going to use it on me, you could just say, oh, honestly, I don't know. I'd have to have more conversations, but like, yeah, I think there's a good possibility, but we just have to chat after the competition. And then you deal with it then, okay? Alright, my favorite part. Let's talk about twists. Casting twists are tough. They're really difficult to deal with. I think I was on a season with probably the most egregious casting twist of all time. You know, there was the X Factor, which was kind of crazy, and the secret family members and the twin twists, but I think this one was the wackiest. If there's a returning player, I think your best call, and I'm writing an article about this, buddy up with them and wait for your moment. You can try to be the person who targets the returning player. You could try, and you're going to be evicted like second. Because sometimes there's structural elements in these games built to protect that person. Maybe it's your secret son in the house. Maybe you have the pendant of protection that America voted on to give you. Cody tried to target Paul. Now, if Paul didn't have the pendant, they still would have survived the vote. But it backfired and Cody was evicted the next week. In Season 13, a lot of people were targeting the vets, and they were all evicted immediately. Season 18, alright, there's some of them survived, because Danielle helped them out. Season 18, Jose and Victor and Paul, they were all targeting the vets, and they were all evicted early. Except Paul, who kept surviving because Victor. So you could try. I'd be rooting for you, but it's not going to work out. I think I managed the Cerise situation extremely well. I'm a little arrogant about this. I think I played the aftermath of all of that pretty poorly, but I think I had the right idea with Cerise the whole time. I made her trust me for a while, then I lost that trust, but, you know, I kept it okay enough. And then waited for my moment, flipped the house, and then Cerise was never able to really recover. Now, I fucked up myself to make myself get evicted, but I think I dealt with the returning player threat pretty well. Yes, Stan. So, I think this is the way of managing it. It's very difficult, but it is extremely important to be on their good side. Being the revolution against the vets, it's just, you're gonna get evicted week 2, and you're gonna be salty about it after the show, saying it's not fair, and you're right, but it's not gonna make you feel any better. And then this is a shot at the rest of my cast. Even if you don't know who this returning person is, they are a fucking problem. They are better than you at the game. Even if you thought they weren't even good their first season. They're a vet. That is a problem you're going to have to deal with. Don't target them immediately, but it's a problem. Okay? Buddy up with them. Make sure they love you. But don't think, oh, it's just a coincidence that Cerie's brought back. She must be such a good character. Or even if she is a good player, I'm good too. No. They're a problem. Spicy V. No one thought Spicy V was a great game player on Big Brother Canada 9. Or was it 7? 7 or 9? What was it? I don't know. But on BB Can 12, she was running that shit like the Navy. Okay? 9, yeah. So, you know, this is the reality. We have the data to prove it. Now, finally, just some general thoughts. Number 1, go easy on yourself. This shit is really, really, really hard. Big Brother's tough. I'll be honest. It's a tough one. The season's probably going to be very long. I don't think your season 26 is going to be 100 days, but it'll probably be high 80s. It's a lot. Find moments in the day to take a break. Whether that is just, you know, taking an extra shower so you could take off your mic and relax a little bit. Going to the upstairs balcony, just chilling on the hammock, sneaking off to the game room. You have so many hours in the day. Taking an hour to yourself is not a bad thing. Number 2, understand how the live feeds work. You guys think it's going to be 70-something days? I mean, I hope so. That'd be amazing. That would be incredible. Understand how live feeds work. So many people came into Big Brother not understanding that the live feeds are actually live feeds. So, if you go on and you say some stupid shit, or you do some stupid shit, or even if you just do some embarrassing shit, you want to know what you're walking into. People are going to see it. And there's this idea of, you know, the live feeds don't show everything. And that's true. But they do show a lot. They show a lot of stuff. And I think when people say the live feeds don't show anything, what they mean is like, oh, there was more context that you guys didn't see that would make what I did okay. It's not like the live feeds edit around your super righteous, great behavior that would justify your problematic actions. Like, those don't exist. They might edit out some of your problematic shit because they don't want controversy. But the live feeds are there, and you have to understand, like, you gotta, first of all, hopefully just be a good person to be on your best behavior. And also, 3, understand people are going to take your shit out of context, so you don't want to give them ammo. But also, you know, people are going to be stupid. That's unavoidable. Thank you, Melfna. I appreciate the prime. Thank you. And finally, and this is something that I really tried to embody as a player, you are the hero of your own story. Everyone is the protagonist in their own mind. They're given all these DRs. They're going in there for hours talking. You're the main character. You have no idea how this shit's being portrayed. Number 1, who knows if you're liked? If you're in the majority alliance and you're crushing the whole season, and let's say you're not problematic, you're just, you know, you're a good guy, you're just hanging out, you're probably despised by the fans. Like, hated. Which is not your fault. You don't have to try to win them over, but don't go into these DRs and this thing and be arrogant and acting like, oh, we're the heroes, they're the enemies. A very obvious example of this is Big Brother 6. Everyone in the friendship thought they were the heroes, getting rid of the mean people, the Casers, the Howies, the Janelles. And time after time, they had to be reminded, no, we all hate you. Yeah, like Tyler in Big Brother 20. Like, he was hated by a lot of people. Tyler didn't do anything to be hated. Not in Big Brother 20, at least. Even Cody in Big Brother 22. People have their problems with Cody. I don't think Cody did anything that bad in 22. Mickey did some stuff wrong. I'm not defending Mickey. He's an idiot. But just be conscious of this. You don't know how you're coming off. You don't know what the reception's going to be when you come out. Tyler was so hated he won AFP. I mean, Mountain Doofus, do you want me to bring up the very obvious example to refute your point? Your recent example? What's up, Truly? Thanks for the follow. BB Twitter is not the majority audience. That's true. Absolutely. So just keep this in mind. Like, it's a very frustrating thing to watch as a viewer when you watch someone who thinks they're a fan favorite when they're not. Just assume you're always disliked. If you come out and you're liked, it's a nice surprise. Okay. I still don't know what Cameron did and don't think I ever will. I don't know. I think there's something beautiful about willful ignorance. Like, ignorance is bliss. Why expose yourself to that? How much do you read into questions DR producers ask? You read into them a lot, and you could get a lot out of them, but also you could be paranoid and spiral about things that aren't happening. So it's a really tough thing to balance. I think you should be conscious of it. Like, when people are being called into DR and the order people are called in during eviction votes. That's usually very telling because it determines who they're painting as the swing vote. But sometimes you put yourself in circles. For example, during the red vote, I believe, they, or maybe the Jag, but something. They had for real. We were the final 7 votes. Everyone was before us. So that gave me the indication, for real is the real alliance. Which was kind of true at the time, but not really. So you don't want to overanalyze, but you should keep it in mind. I remember you saying they never asked about the unreliables, and that was a hint. The unreliables were never that serious. Like, we were working with Jag and Matt, but, like, me, America, and Jag as a trio, like, we never really, like, it's not like we had a real final 3 or anything. Okay. Don't be mean. Don't be mean. Look. A lot of people in Big Brother are mean. And they're mean, number 1, because they think it's a strategy. And number 2, in that house, you start hating people for no fucking reason. I didn't, so I'm not trying to defend people who did. But being mean doesn't help you. And I think this goes hand in hand with don't dogpile. Just because someone is ostracized from the house does not mean you should partake in shit-talking of that ostracized person. There's a little bit of that energy coming around with Kirsten. A lot of shit talk. It's not useful. It's not helpful. Shit talking is a way to bond with people, but understand that there's going to be consequences outside of the house, and the person who you're shit talking is not going to like it. And they might upset them. Very validly, may I add. So don't do it. It's not good. Like, it's literally, you're just, like, proving yourself to be nasty, and you're doing it in front of thousands of people watching. That just seems like enough incentive to me. Okay, chill with the shoutouts. Look, you just, like, there's no way to piss off casuals more than being annoying with shoutouts. Like, obviously, like, Suri was annoying, and Suri did fine, but it's like, here's the shoutouts philosophy, okay? Shout out one person a night. I shouted out Molly. I shouted out Zach. I shouted out, Mom and Dad. Grandparents, love you guys. Matt, Jonathan, Daniel. But when you start going Matt, Jonathan, Daniel, shout outs LSU, go Tigers, Grandma, happy birthday, Australia, I love you guys. Aussie, 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 aye, aye. Doesn't do anything. Now, I have some fun ideas for shout outs. This is something Zach recommended to me. Zach said, what if in your shoutouts you spoiled movies? I was like, this is genius. It's like, I vote to evict Cameron. Darth Vader is Luke's father. And I just, like, every week I ruin something. Season 1, episode 9, Ned dies. Game of Thrones. That would be hilarious. Snape kills Dumbledore. I think that would be amazing. No Lost spoilers, don't worry. Another thing you all can do that I think would be very funny is shout out some stupid shit. I'm not a fan of Jackson Mickey. Not a fan. Don't think he's a good person. Not even a good player. But he did one thing right. Him shouting out Joe, Murr, Q, and Sal is very funny. That's pretty funny. Shout out Adam Jasinski. I heard he's turned his life around. I'm happy for him. Blue shouted out every member of Blackpink. Yeah, it's funny. Like, I had a lot of funny shout-outs I wanted to do, but I didn't have the chance to. I wanted to shout out the Oasis podcast. I thought it would be funny. Just like some random shit. Shout out to the Oasis podcast. I shout out random Twitch streamers. I almost shouted out Mango Nation. But do it with full sincerity, yeah. Spoil the ending of Young Sheldon. It's fucked up. Shout out Taron Armstrong. Nah, that's too pandery. Advocate for your own Stockwatch score. Say, give me a 7, Stockwatch, please. Here's another thing. If you don't think Julie looks good, don't lie. No, I'm kidding. And here's the thing. If the house develops a scheme to all coordinate some funny response to Julie, calling her exquisite, for example, don't deviate from it, because it shows your lack of character. It shows you're self-centered. It shows you're arrogant. And if you lie about it, you are going to hell. H-E double hockey sticks. That's the truth. And then finally, camera talks. We love camera talks. As viewers, they're amazing. They give us insight into what you're actually thinking, because DRs don't do that anymore. The show, in my experience, they didn't say anything bad about it. They never told me not to do them in pre-production, production, nothing. So, you're good. They probably won't have the cameras on you in those early weeks, unless you do it, like, very late at night when everyone else is asleep. But, even if, like, your goal is not to do X, Y, and Z with the audience, it'll just help you clear your thoughts out. And finally, here's what I'll say. People were annoyed about my camera talks, like, in the house, because they were like, oh, he's trying to be the main character. I, don't care. If people are gonna get mad at you for that, fuck them. Like, you can't win everything. If people are targeting you and they're annoyed at you, they're gonna find reasons to be mad at you no matter what. So, I was gonna say, like, should I add an addendum of maybe don't? No, it's fine. Just do it. Alright. Let's just talk about a couple post-game things, just a few. Get on Cameo immediately. You're gonna get more cameos in those first 2 weeks than you will in the next 50 weeks. I had probably 300 to 400 cameos in the first week of doing it. First week and a half. And now I get, 2 every 2 weeks or something. You know what I mean? It's something more reasonable. So if it's something you're interested in doing, and you should be, because people like it, get on it quick. Don't feel pressured to be friends with everyone. I think honestly, like, the past couple seasons have made that a little bit more regular with Taylor, with obviously me in America, more so America, right? But yeah, you don't owe anyone anything, right? So, treat people how you think they deserve to be treated. If you're going to talk like an authority on the game, make sure you know what actually fucking happened. Now, this isn't that important, but this is important to me. If you're going to talk about the game, you better know what the fuck happened in the game. And you being in the house does not make you an authority in the game. At all. You could be an idiot. If you want to say, I don't want to watch the show, it's too much trauma, I don't want to relive it, that's fine, I get that. But don't go on Twitter talking about different scenarios and shit that was happening in your perspective. No, now we have access to the feeds. So do your homework or don't, Or say, or ask people questions. I was thinking this. I don't know what actually happened, though. If anyone can enlighten me. And then finally, it's okay to be delusional in the house. There's no problem with being delusional in the house. After, you gotta stop being delusional. When you encounter new information, you gotta fix your delusionalness. You gotta correct the delusions. Okay? Alright. That's it. Look, have fun. It's a good experience. This feels pointed. No. No, it's literally every season of Big Brother. This happens. Like, everyone. Because, like, a lot of people come in and, like, they're not fans of the show, and then they come out and they don't actually want to watch the show. Or like, maybe you just watch the episodes and base all your opinions on that. Like, you know. Just stop with the delusions, you know? And, like, people who are delusional in the house. Who's a good example? Like, Derek F. Right? Like, there's no reason to still be delusional, you know? Like, that's an example. I'll say that. But, like, be in the house, sometimes you're just wrong. It's hard to know exactly what's going on. I was delusional in moments. I was delusional about my relationship with Bowie. But then you learn more information, you could be like, oh, I was stupid. Look, I think that's something in Big Brother that I would love to see more of. People just, like, take the responsibility for their bad game moves. And I try to defend myself a lot, but I think you guys know. I do know the flaws in my game. I could try to defend the moves logically, but, you know. Daniel Jerison, a prime example of delusional in and out. I think he's more of like he's hated and now has to bathe in the hate to move on. And look, you don't even have to admit it. It's just like continuing to argue that you were right when you weren't. It's crazy. But that's it. Have fun. Look, I think you're gonna want to like soak in every moment. But the truth is, it does move fast in there, even if it feels slow at times. And at this point, I'm only a year out, and it's hard for me to get back in the headspace of being in the house. So it's kind of impossible, but yeah, go to therapy. Sure. They offer a therapist. She's good. Best way to handle boredom in the house, go talk with someone. Because you could try to play pool by yourself, but you could just make a bit more of a social bond with somebody. Yeah, about something. Tell a story. I don't know, Audrey. I'm not a TikTok person, but I'm going to be posting on that in a few minutes. All right, well, yo, that's it for the stream today. It's a quick hour 45. We have a stream schedule these days, in case you guys weren't know. That basically the idea is I stream 4 days a week. 4 days a week. Tuesday, Thursday are always going to be stream days. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'll stream one of the days, and then one of the days on the weekend. So 4 days a week is the goal. So no stream tomorrow, yes stream on Tuesday. Got it? Thank you all. Is there anybody to rate? Anyone on the line? Dwight? Yeah, we'll read Dwight. I mean, he's been live for a long time. I assume he's gonna get off soon. What's Dwight's thing? What's Dwight's username? He's off. All right, we'll jam. Thank you all for watching. Fun stream today. If there is actually anyone on BB26 going, which I think is a possibility, because I know all of you guys are probably stalking the hashtag. Good luck.